Thank you all for coming today to honor Tom Hogarty. My name is David Rosenthal. I'm married to Emily, Tom and Lucinda's oldest daughter, and I have had the privilege of being part of Tom's family for the past 25 years, along with countless family gatherings, Thanksgiving photos, barbecues, concerts on the green, kids sporting matches, dump runs, and summer Scrabble matches, and one of the many beneficiaries of Tom's amazing home handiwork, electrical work, bathroom remodeling, basement flooring, children's playground, and more. And that was just in the first year of our new house. And it's truly an honor to welcome you all here today as MC. While Tom did not raise me, he showed us all how to live well, especially how to live a life of service towards others, the value of hard work, tremendous generosity, and to live life to its fullest with an extra scoop of vanilla ice cream on top. We miss him dearly already. As far as logistics of today's ceremony, many of you family and friends have already told us, or Lucinda, that you'd like to make some remarks. We have a program. If you need one, there's ones in the back. I won't be introducing speakers, so we'll just ask the speakers look at the program and come up after the previous speaker. We'll join, we also have an honor guard here today. We're thrilled to have them. We'll join for refreshments afterwards here. We are so grateful that you came today to celebrate the extraordinary life of Tom Hogarty.
Good morning. I knew this facility would be a little bit of a challenge, but it's one that Tom and I loved. We lived in Chester for a few years and often came to this building, which is historic and has its quirks, for programs and actually ballroom dancing, which may surprise many of you. But we did do ballroom dancing in this building. I'm overwhelmed by the attendance here today. This is just so heartwarming. Thank you so much. As I prepared for this memorial service, I spent hours going through photographs, many of which are displayed in the albums on the tables on either side. It was wonderful to revisit chapters of Tom's life and see pictures of family, friends, and adventures from those times. Reviewing his life in this way was comforting, and it helped me set aside the thoughts of the difficulty and pain of his final few months. Tom turned 70 last September. We had talked about having a party, but he had already begun to feel unwell. Instead, the family created a booklet called Why We Love Tom, which you'll find in one of the albums. It captures so many of the things that come to mind when people think of him. Sarah wrote about how he was always busy in the yard, doing something that may not have needed doing, but doing it anyway. I think she was thinking of weeding the Pachysandra. Yeah, and how much she loved the way he took care of me, Muma, as the grandchildren call me. Aaron and Shauna spoke about his willingness to help and his incredible knowledge and skills. Scarlett got right to the point and mentioned his love of Hawaiian pizza. I didn't even know about that. But he was notorious for his love of crumb cake, coffee cake, which is featured on the menu today. Many mentioned his just being there, showing up at games, offering guidance, and helping with countless home projects. Hillary admired his ability to be a gracious loser through decades of Super Bowl bets. Somehow, no matter which team won, Hillary claimed victory. And the tradition goes on. Caleb talked about working in the woods and admired Tom's ability to occasionally find his way out of family gatherings, something Caleb aspires to. May appreciated that he let the kids listen to what she called poopy songs. A trait, you love that, a trait I might not have named myself. In my own entry, trying to express how much I appreciated him as my support system, as he called it, I wrote, "I love Tom because he has been such a positive, steady, and supportive partner in my life and in raising our wonderful 2 daughters. He adores our grandchildren and understands how often they are my priority. He always steps in to make my passions doable. Gardening, crafts, kayaking. I can't imagine life without him." Over the past 8 weeks since he died, as the family shared stories, certain themes have emerged. His projects came up again and again. Tom brought incredible energy and commitment to everything he did. Another recurring theme is that Tom was, without question, accident prone. Many of these mishaps, usually not too serious, became family legends. Falling through the deck after carefully cutting the boards into sections to replace them, and then me falling through the deck too after rushing to help him. Sliding down a 3-story chute when he was doing Emily's room, when caught up in debris that was hurtling down into the bed of his truck from the Brooklyn Attic project. Riding his bike full speed into a car which happened to be parked. Locking himself out on a 2nd-story scaffolding on a and he was rescued by David and Caleb, on a 2nd-story scaffolding on a blisteringly hot summer afternoon when I was not there to prevent him from replacing that window just then. That was another one. Dropping his gun down the back of his pants during an undercover drug raid. Driving a lawnmower off makeshift ramps, and the fairly recent bathtub fall, which resulted in broken ribs at Aaron's house. Most incidents ended with quite a bit of spilled blood and an application of Band-Aids, of which, as we discovered, Sean noted this, while we were cleaning his workshop, his car, and his truck, he had an impressive supply. He could never get enough of Garrison Keillor. I listened to Garrison Keillor every night for decades. Superman, Star Trek, but he also loved sentimental movies, especially It's a Wonderful Life. Clarence the Angel in that movie said, "Strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many other lives. When he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he?" He remembered birthdays, anniversaries, Valentine's Day, and regularly surprised me with no occasion bouquets hidden behind his back. He was curious about so many things, and this led him to delve into a changing set of interests. Sometimes I called them whims. But some of those were not actually whims. Bicycling in particular, across the country with his son Brian, took real commitment and remained one of his treasured experiences. Some of the whims that actually also turned into realities were driving a red bus at Glacier, sailing around the world with Semester at Sea, buying and fixing up his own boat called Dock Holiday, trying out the camper life, becoming a licensed captain, which required completing a rigorous nautical course, working as a lift operator at Mount Sunapee to be able to ski for free, and qualifying as a National Park Law Enforcement Ranger. It seemed, though, that cleaning the woods was a lasting passion that brought him great satisfaction, and Lyme disease more than once. Tom's commitment to his community was remarkable and commendable. He ran for office multiple times for planning and zoning and won, advocated for affordable housing, delivered Meals on Wheels, and served on numerous Killingworth committees. He managed tent rentals for the Lions Club, worked at their annual Christmas tree sale, volunteered at the Durham Fair booth, and won their chili competition one year. When Tom took on something, he gave it his all, researching, preparing, and always reading the manual. The common thread, whether it was through police or zoning work, community service, or what he called his cool jobs, was about connecting with people. He often said how he loved the chance to make all sorts of sometimes random connections. depending on when you knew him, you might picture Tom as a handsome, sharp, put-together state trooper, or in a bandana and dirty overalls, or in full cycling gear, or as the guy driving the bitchin' cool truck to the dump on Saturdays. And he was never above trying on accents or putting on silly costumes and making people laugh. I'm going to close with a Star Trek quote from Tasha Yar. So you'll understand when I say death is that state in which one only exists in memory of others, which is why it is not an end. No goodbyes, just good memories. Hailing frequencies close, sir.
Thank you, Cindy. Good morning. I am my father's youngest son, Aaron. I want to start by sharing one of my earliest memories of fun with my dad. He would go to the local dump and collect parts to build go-karts. These were motorless machines made mostly of wood, using wheels and axles from old baby carriages. We would run down the little hill on Brown Road in Brooklyn. On what was maybe my maiden's wage, he must have noticed I was going too fast. A braking system was obviously an afterthought. He sat up in front of me like a starfish, feet spread out and arms wide open. Me, not wanting to collide with him, cut the steering wheel, which was a rope tied up both ends to a 2x4, at the last second and turned over. This resulted in a very minor road rash, but man, that short ride was the time of my life. Looking back now, as a father of three, I am in awe of the thought process, ingenuity, and work he went through to provide a truly fun and lasting experience for us boys. I remember the 1985 Ford Ranger that he would have the bed squatted down to the frame with materials for whatever project he was working on at the time. Fun fact, the two first vehicles I owned were 1980s Ford Rangers. My dad made a bedroom in the attic of that house. Looking back now, I struggle to wrap my head around how he pulled off transforming an early 1800s attic into a finished bedroom, complete with a bathroom and all the finish work. I remember helping my dad make a patio at the Main Street house in Hampton that no one would have attempted with just hand tools. Weeks of digging by hand with shovels, pickaxes, and hauling material with wheelbarrows. You know it was perfect and beautiful when he was done. I remember working with him on another grueling job in the other Hampton house, running wheelbarrows up a hill. That day he told me, if you can put in a continuous 8 hours of solid work, you're doing pretty good. That has always stuck with me, and as I get older and thinking of his age at the time, I am forever impressed by the hard work and things that he took on. My dad helped Shauna and I when looking to buy our first home. We spent months at the home we ended up buying, sleeping on an air mattress, remodeling, and getting it in perfect move-in condition. He and I built a perfect little shed at that house during a summer so hot that we had to keep the tools in the shade because they were too hot to hold. I remember him staying and doing the same thing at the house we moved to on campus with me 2 summers ago exactly. If you're not aware, my dad has had a passion for cleaning windows. Some may have called it an obsession. He had to use his own homemade window washing formula. He hired someone to wash his windows once, and the poor guy was fired about 6 minutes into the job. Needless to say, none of us who had the luxury of good window washing from him will ever have as clean windows again. My dad always had a project going on. He viewed everything through a how do I make this better lens, always improving and helping his loved ones do the same. We Hogartys have a get it done mentality, no matter the challenge. And for that reason, I am who I am because of him. I couldn't be more proud or happier of that blessing. Is that Mike Darcy?
Yeah, all right. Hello, Brian Hogarty, Tom's oldest son. Not really a public speaker. Just wanted to say a couple things. I just wanted to say I am extremely grateful for every moment that I got to spend with my dad. Cindy mentioned the bike trip. That was an amazing experience. So many memories that I'll remember forever. I want to call out Eric Murray, Mike Darcy. You guys were such familiar names. I want to thank you for being such very good friends to my dad. He loved you guys so much. My Uncle Mike, my dad's brother, he had the utmost respect for you. Talked about anytime we were doing projects together, you would just, every little thing we would do, you'd be like, oh, Mike would just do this so much faster and better than what we're doing right now. But, we're doing it the way, we're getting it done. Anyway, I just wanted to say, just keep it brief and just say those words. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Mike Darcy. I'm one of the retired state troopers that are here today. There's loads of people from the state police, and I'd go way over my allotted time if I identified all of them. But I do want to point out the colonel, when Tom retired, was Colonel Jack Bardelli, who was a great leader of the state police and somebody that Tom had a particularly close relationship with. And we're honored that Colonel Bardelli and his wife, retired Detective Edie Bardelli, are here today. Getting Jack Bardelli off a golf course on a day like this is quite an accomplishment. So we're honored for his presence. And I also just wanted to mention, I know that Tom was never a member of the Honor Guard, nor was I, but he always had great affection for the State Police Honor Guard and how proud they represented the agency. And I know if he's looking down, and I'm sure he is, he's honored by their presence here today. I first met Tom 37 years ago at a drug raid in Voluntown. I suspect Billy Molis may have been there as a police officer, not as this. Tom was assigned to the narcotics unit at the time and had about 10 years on the job, and I had 1. Tom's uniform in that assignment consisted of an army jacket, black watch cap, and a full beard. And again, I had 1 year in the job, and I thought that was like Starsky and Hutch. Incredibly cool. Soon thereafter, we were assigned to Troop D together, where we became fast friends. Tom aced the sergeant's exam and was promoted to sergeant in 1992, and he became my supervisor. Tom was all about mentoring those who worked for him. He was always far more concerned about our careers and successes than his own, and he always made himself available to us. On his own time, at his own home and with his own equipment, one of those camcorders that was like this big, it was the mid-1990s, he subjected us to videotaped mock interviews as we all prepared for the sergeant's test. Tom also shielded us from the bureaucratic nonsense that often came from above on the state police, never came from Colonel Bardelli. And his enthusiasm for the job was infectious. Tom was the sergeant you wanted to work for. Tom literally had no ego, and he never wanted to be the center of attention, which is an extremely rare find in our business. He left every CSP assignment and relationship far better than he found it. As Aaron so aptly detailed, Tom's home improvement and general mechanical skills were as legendary as his test preparation traits, and I benefited personally from both. There is no question in my mind that Tom could have enjoyed as much success as a carpenter as he did as a state trooper. He was the brains behind a couple of projects at my house, and he planned for them like it was the invasion of Normandy. I'm sure everybody realizes the way Tom was a planner. Tom had the highest score in the state police lieutenant's exam, which was an awesome accomplishment because the competition was so fierce. When it was time to get something difficult done, be it an addition on his house or a promotional exam, no one put the planning and effort into it that Tom did. 14 years ago, my son was going through the selection process for the Maine State Police when Tom put together and delivered a series of mock oral board interviews that were extraordinarily helpful in preparing Sean for this process. I was proud that Tom was with us at the ceremony when John graduated from the Maine State Police Academy. And to this day, John, who came down from Maine today to join us, carries Tom's handcuffs on patrol engraved T. Hogarty, CSPD. I retired 18 years before Tom did. Excuse me. Tom retired 18 years before I did. But I sought his counsel until the day I retired. I was the master of ceremonies at his retirement party, and I handpicked him to MC mine. Tom and I spoke weekly, and he referred to these phone calls as the show, quote unquote, the show. We were convinced that if we could have secured sponsors, we would have had a successful podcast. Tom often sent agenda items for the show. I miss my phone calls and lunch dates with Tom. In the past 2 months, there have been countless times where I would pick up my phone to call him and sadly realize that I couldn't. Tom played a huge role in my life personally and professionally. He was a devoted friend, mentor, trusted sounding board, and advisor. Tom was a difference maker in my life and the lives of everyone else impacted by him on the state police, and I'm honored that I was able to share these thoughts with all of you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Emily Rosenthal. I'm Tom and my mom's oldest daughter. So there's been a theme here today, and as I think most of you know, and as we've heard, Tom never did anything just enough. He did it completely, perfectly, and to the next level. Collecting kindling became family wood stacking day. We did that up until a couple years ago. Chopping wood, more like cleaning the woods. Growing up and even now as adults, whatever we were into, Tom enthusiastically and wholeheartedly supported. Always making sure we had fun, we were safe, and we felt encouraged. So I'd like to share just a few examples. So I decided to very briefly try running one summer in middle school. Tom made sure I left each morning for my run through the Christmas tree farm on Brown Road in Brooklyn, Connecticut, with his police baton. Every day. I stopped running, and maybe that was part of it. Hillary and I wanted to see They Might Be Giants when we were tweens, and I just remember this because of it. Tom drove us 2 hours each way to see them at Toad's Place. I have no idea what Tom did while we were in there running around, but he was there for it. In 7th grade, when some girls were mean to me, Tom drew little stick figures of them on sheetrock that he was in the midst of tearing down, and he let me have at it with the sunshine. And then in high school, another hobby, I got into black and white photography, and Tom decided to surprise me with a total transformation of my bathroom into a fully functional darkroom with the equipment, the supplies, the shelving, the storage, and the lights. That bathroom he transformed into a darkroom we heard from Aaron. That was part of the gorgeous 3rd floor bedroom suite that Tom created from an unfinished attic. Before college, I had a summer job at the Baker's Dozen, our local donut and coffee shop. Tom created an iconic comic strip, The Adventures of Donut Girl, with evolving dialogue and illustrations that kept us going all summer. And as we heard from my husband, when we bought our house in Madison, Tom decided that the basement stairs needed a railing for safety. He built that railing and then added a little play area underneath a treehouse for the kids under the stairs. And then every grandkids sporting or theater event that Tom went to these past 10, 12 years, Tom seemed ever more thrilled and impressed by their high level of skill. My son joined the high school show choir, and by the end of the first show, Tom was a devoted show choir fan with the branded apparel and merch. But above all else, Tom was always in for me and Hogarty. He was respectful of our father and our relationship with him. And Tom never wanted to overstep, but he was with us every day. He was the dad who stepped into and completed our lives. And our lives were happier, safer, and richer because of him. Sorry how I'm setting you up. Yes. Well, good morning. Thank you all so much for being here. My name's Hillary. So my mom and Tom got married when Emily was 8 and I was just 6. So very lucky for us. He has been part of our lives for almost as long as we can remember. As you heard from Mike, you'll hear from more today, Tom dedicated his career to protecting others. And at home, he did that same thing for us in his own quiet, steady way, creating safety and stability, providing a deep sense of love, and truly building the foundation for our family. Some of my very earliest memories of Tom are from when we were little. We'd get off the school bus, walk inside, and without fail, there it would be, the dreaded list of chores waiting for us. We've heard a lot about picking up sticks. This is a real theme today. So that was often on the list, picking up sticks in the yard, cleaning under the sink. Who does that? We did often, stacking wood, raking leaves, and at the time, these lists were the absolute worst, and I cannot overstate how much I despise them. But, of course, as I grew up, I understood the gift that he had given us with those dreaded chore lists. Tom was teaching us what it meant to work hard, to contribute, and to take pride in doing our part. He was building in us a sense of responsibility, work ethic, and resilience that has stayed with me my whole life. Of course, life with Tom wasn't just a never-ending chore list. It was also filled with an incredible amount of fun. We had our big blended family vacations, ski trips, regular weekend visits to Old Sturbridge Village, one of my favorites, and holidays spent selling hot chocolate at the Christmas tree farm where we grew up near, with Tom right out there in the cold helping wrap trees. He also captured absolutely everything on camera, like that 1990s camcorder. Tom recorded countless hours of us, of Emily and I putting on lots of embarrassing skits, singing and dancing, and of course, don't worry, in true Tom and Tom fashion, he uploaded every single one of those videos to YouTube to ensure that our endless embarrassments lived on in perpetuity. And then there was that time that I ended up in a police chase with him, but that's a story for another time. Tom made quiet, routine moments feel entirely special, like they were just our own thing, which they were. For me, that was watching Back to the Future and Superman, our annual viewing of It's a Wonderful Life, and as you've heard, as my mom said, our yearly Super Bowl bet, which became a tradition when I was just 6. Miraculously, no matter who actually won the game, and by the way, we didn't really like football or care about football, I always walked away the winner. And I'm so grateful that he got to continue this tradition with my daughter, May. And she also walked away the winner. It will come as no surprise to anyone here that Tom was the kind of person who would do absolutely anything for his family. And he logged thousands of miles proving it. During my college years, he regularly drove me back and forth to Maine, and later back and forth to New York City for grad school. In fact, there was a period of time where I moved every single year for almost 10 years. Every single year, without fail, Tom would grumble and swear that this was the absolute last time that he would help me move. But of course, move after move, he was always the first one to rent the U-Haul, show up, and do the heavy lifting. Deep down, it was just his way of making sure that I ride safely every time. He showed that same quiet reliability years later when I went through my own battle with cancer. He didn't make a big fuss about it,
But again, without fail, Tom drove me to almost every single one of my chemo appointments, waited for me to finish, and drove me back home. Beneath all that action, Tom's real legacy is in those gentle and quiet acts of kindness, stability, and deep sense of security. He painstakingly put his own sweat into fixing up my house, my sisters, his own sons, and most recently, helped with my brother and sister-in-law's house, leaving his care and craftsmanship in the very walls around us. Today, I look at the bookshelf he built for my son Evan, and I see that tangible reminder of his love. As for me, there was nothing that captured his protective spirit quite like the way he would say goodbye. No matter where we were heading, whether it was a trip across the world or a quick run to the store, he said the same two words every time we walked out the door: be careful. I'm so grateful for the life that he built for us, his unwavering love, and how endlessly proud he was of all of his people. We'll miss him deeply, and just as he wanted, we will be careful. Thank you.
Well, we've heard from everyone so far and everyone to come, I'm sure, about Tom's generosity to his family, to his friends, to refugees, to all those who needed his help. I'm going to talk about his generosity as a citizen. When Tom and Lucinda moved to Killingworth, I was first select woman. Knowing of Tom and Lucinda's talents and skills, I rather shamelessly drafted them into various roles in the town. But Tom always stepped up, not just willingly, but enthusiastically. When Tom agreed to do something, chair a school renovation committee, serve on the planning and zoning commission, spearhead an effort to expand housing opportunities in town, he didn't just fill the seat. He brought his unflagging curiosity, his humanity, and his integrity to his community every time. He researched, he considered, he strategized, he explored policies, laws, regulations, and then he committed himself to solving the problems he had identified. He committed himself to solving those problems, whatever it took and however long it took. He consulted attorneys and he moved furniture. He drafted regulations and he handed out surveys at the dump. Tom joined the Killingworth Lions, and that made perfect sense. The organization's motto, where there's a need, there's a lion, could have been his as well. That's probably why he earned, was named Lion of the Year, I think twice. When the town needed a zoning official, he agreed to serve until the position could be filled permanently. I'm sure he had no more love than anyone else of paperwork and bureaucracy and doing all those detailed things that need to be done. But over and over, he took on the role of chair or vice chair or representative, whatever was needed, he was there. That's the kind of generosity that holds a community together. Tom was a consummate citizen, and we need more like him.
I'm Tom's granddaughter, Scarlett, and these are his other grandchildren, Sarah, Piper, Lincoln, and Wyatt. And I'd like to share this poem with you. The tide recedes, but leaves behind bright seashells on the sands. The sun goes down, but gentle warmth still lingers on the lands. The music stops, yet it goes on in sweet, soulful refrains. For every joy that passes, something beautiful remains.
morning. For those who don't know me, I'm Tommy's older brother, Mike. We came from a family of 5 siblings. My older brother Patrick lives in California. Because of his health issues, couldn't be here today. But that is deeply sorry. I'm grateful that my twin sisters, Eva and Fran, are here today. And along with Tommy's wife, Lucinda, his sons, stepdaughters, and everyone who honors him in his life. Tommy and Lucinda shared more than 30 years together and built a beautiful life with a blended family. One of my proudest memories of Tommy was watching him graduate from Connecticut State Trooper Academy. That was a big day for my family. We were incredibly proud of him. He went on to serve the Connecticut State Troopers with honor and dedication. One of his classmates that graduated with him is here today. Another thing I always admired about Tommy was his ability to dream up projects, then make them happen. One of his favorite accomplishments was the installation of his garage barn, as we all know, that he loved. He was so happy and proud the day he showed it to me during a visit a little over a year ago. One of my memories I will treasure most, spending nearly a week camping with him in the Adirondack Mountains last summer. At that time, we didn't know he was sick, but I could tell he wasn't 100% himself. Looking back, I'm so thankful we had that time together. When Tommy became ill, I came to Connecticut to spend some final days with him, being able to care for a younger brother during that time is a memory I will always carry with me. It was one of the last opportunities I could give back to someone who has meant so much to me throughout my life. Tommy will be remembered as a devoted husband, father, stepfather, grandfather, uncle, and friend. He served his community and loved his family and left this world a better place than how he found it. Tommy, thank you for the memories, the example you set, and the love you gave the faith our family. You will always be my brother. I promise you the rest of my life. Rest in peace, Tom.
Hi, my name is Carrie, and I worked with Tom at one of his many retirement jobs. We worked together in North Branford. Tom was the zoning enforcement officer, and I was the town planner and technically his boss, although I never felt like I was his boss. We were more colleagues and friends. I learned many things from Tom during the time that we worked together. One thing, as people have mentioned, is the amazing amount of research that he did with every project, at work, at home. Before he even applied for the job with North Branford, he showed up at town hall a few times and was actually interviewing us to find out if it would be a good fit and whether or not he really wanted to spend time with us. It was clear that he valued his time and wanted to make sure that this job was somewhere he would want to be. I'm glad that we decided it was all a good fit. We had a great team. There are a few members from North Branford here today, and we all worked really well together. And as years went by, I learned that Tom loved working on and improving his property in Killingworth, as everyone has mentioned. And based on his stories, I don't think he left a stone unturned. Since Tom was part-time, he had flexible hours and would often ask if he could work half days. And as the weather got nicer, he would check the forecast beforehand and say to me, "Hey boss, seems like it's gonna be a nice day tomorrow. Would it be okay if I took the day off?" And I would say, "That sounds good." We quickly agreed there was no such thing as a zoning emergency. He always seemed to have numerous projects going on at his property in Killingworth, initially never willing to have anyone help do the work. He researched each project and would do it himself. If I ran into him over the weekend, he'd say, "I'm surprised you recognized me in my Killingworth clothes." It was clear that he loved that property and enjoyed working on it any chance he had. Tom became a resource for me trying to work on my own house. And after talking at length about one project, he offered to help my husband and I install some new lights in the bathroom. So he came to our house, brought over his tools, had researched it ahead of time, I'm sure. But as he got working, cutting beadboard, it actually split a lot more than we all expected. But Tom didn't seem too fazed by it, was not surprised at all, and with confidence just said, "Well, it's gotta get worse before it gets better." He said it with such confidence that we trusted him, and so we just continued on. And sure enough, the project definitely got better. And to this day, when something doesn't go as expected, we say, "Well, it's gotta get worse before it gets better." Tom and I kept in touch after I left North Branford and he officially retired. He was always a great resource for me, and I would talk with him. He was a wonderful listener and a friend who provided valuable insight into every project. He is very much missed, but I will always remember the lessons that he taught me.
Hi, my name's Alec Martin. With Tom, I first met him when we were both running. He was already on the P&C in Killingworth, and this was going to be my first time. This is about 12 years ago. This was my first time running for the P&C. And we met up at the town dump in Killingworth, and we would spend every Saturday before each election over the next 12 years, which is every 4 years. We were both on the same cycle. And we were basically, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, and we would talk to people through the car window, trying to get their vote for the Democrats, basically. And then there's the P&C, the work that he did. His knowledge was extensive. He really knew his stuff. He was the zoning enforcement officer in a couple of towns in Connecticut. And then and as Kathy said, he also stepped in when Killingworth was caught short with no zoning enforcement officer. He just applied himself. He was a wonderful man. We would often, probably every couple of months over the last several years, get together at Dunkin' Donuts, the two of us, and we would just talk for a couple of hours. And again, we would talk about everything, just everything you could possibly imagine. He was really well versed in stuff. It's really an honor to have known the man. He's a wonderful man. He's a good guy, a really good guy. He's a wonderful person. I love you, Tom.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me a moment to remember and honor my friend. I met Tom in 1991 when he became one of my field training officers at Troop D. And from the start, I knew he was different. He cared about who I was as a person and not just whether I was checking the boxes of the training. He taught by example, held a standard through his actions, and became someone I aspired to be. Over time, he became my coach, my mentor, and most importantly, my friend. And in the darkest moments of my life, personal and professional, Tom was always there with light. Tom had a way of teaching that stayed with you. In my formative years, he taught me more than how to do the job. He taught me how to carry myself, think clearly under pressure, treat people with dignity, and understand the responsibility that came with wearing the uniform. He set the standard not by talking about it, but by living it. He became my FTO for life. When Tom became a supervisor, that same guidance became even more personal. He did not lead from a distance. He paid attention. He knew when we needed correction, encouragement, a push, or simply someone steady beside us. Tom expected a lot because he saw more in people than they sometimes saw in themselves. His leadership was grounded in experience, fairness, and genuine care for the people entrusted to him and the people we served. He had a special place in his heart for those less fortunate, and he never allowed the uniform to separate him from his humanity. And he carried humanity, humility, and humor everywhere, often in the same moment. Over time, our relationship grew beyond training and supervision. We served alongside each other on the job and on more construction projects than either of us probably had any business taking on. Whether rebuilding a 200-year-old home, convincing an old floor to become level again, hand digging a basement, or one bucket full at a time, or working a case to crack a burglary ring, Tom was always the same: steady, practical, quietly funny, and completely dependable. It made hard work feel lighter, even when it was backbreaking. And at just the right moment, usually when you were tired, dirty, frustrated, or all three, he could make you laugh, keep you going, and remind you that you were not alone. We shared long days, difficult calls, quiet rides, sore backs, stubborn problems, and the kind of trust that comes from standing shoulder to shoulder through life's real work. When Tom was with you, in a cruiser, on a job site, or in a project that had become much bigger than expected, you knew you would get through it. Tom's impact reached far beyond the badge. His advice lingered, his approval mattered, and his example made you want to be better. He helped shape not only the trooper I became, but the person I tried to be. Mentors like Tom are rare. They enter your life at a formative time, give more than they are ever asked, and leave lessons that last long after the conversation ends. I am grateful for his patience, trust, guidance, and friendship, and for the years we had from 1991 through every chapter that followed. Tom's family, Lucinda, Hillary, Emily, Brian, Mike, Aaron. It was respected, and how sincerely, I want you to know how deeply he was respected and how sincerely he was loved. His service mattered. His leadership mattered. His friendship mattered. His legacy lives on in the people he trained, guided, supported, inspired, and the quiet standards he left for all of us to carry forward. Tom, thank you for being a coach, mentor, colleague, and most importantly, a friend. Thank you for the example you set, the lessons you taught, and the mark you left on me. I will carry those lessons with me. I will always be grateful for the privilege of knowing you. You will be remembered for your humanity, humility, most of all, your humor. I'm a better man because of you. May you rest in peace, Tom. I love you. You served well, led well. It will not be forgotten. Thank you.
Hello. Oh, there's one more. I'm Caleb. I'm Emily's daughter, Tom's grandson. This is my sister Sarah, and Evan and May. They're also grandchildren of our daughter's kids. We have a dream called, or we have what's this thing called? A poem called Poorhouse Dream. Summer. Sarah.
That is a tall horse with large white feet, coming on a slow walk down the long street.
Nudging with a soft nose, opening the gate. Up you must climb down, lest you be late.
Starting on a slow walk and never looking round, he moves, and the great feet never make a sound.
Soon it is a road, with the houses far between, and when a farm is there at last, children will come and lean.
Shouting over fences, but not as if they knew, and now a word arrives of what they say to you.
On beneath a bright hill is water in a trough, but he is never thirsty, and you are looking off.
Thinking of the afternoon, thinking of the night, but all the sky is green there, and all the hours are white.
He will never halt again, and you will not descend. You will be content there without any end. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Alfredo. I am Tom's son-in-law. I'm the last one to speak today, and I know you've already heard a lot about how Tom was reliable, how he was always there, and how he always showed up. It's all true, but there's a reason those qualities hit so deep. Tom wasn't just a good man, he wasn't just a great man. He was the kind of man who made you so unbelievably proud to say that you knew him. In my work as an oncology nurse practitioner, connecting with patients through heavy moments means finding common ground fast. Over the years, my secret weapon was bragging about Tom. When I was treating a first responder, I talked about Tom, the state trooper. When I met an electrician, I tell him how he helped swap out every outlet in our house so it still wasn't stuck in that 1970s cream color. When I met an orthopedic surgeon, I'd tell him about how Tom rode his lawnmower up a makeshift ramp, I'd flip over onto him, and how he broke a few ribs. And then there was that absolute favorite story where I told the carpenter about how when Tom built a crazy, elaborate wooden platform just to reach the second story window to replace it, and somehow managed to lock himself out. Big statement, Caleb. I wasn't just breaking the ice in those exam rooms. I was boasting. I was showing my patients what a real salt-of-the-earth man looked like because I was so proud he was my father-in-law. Tom was the ultimate gentleman. He could build anything you needed, fix whatever was broken, but most importantly, he'd do anything for you. Beyond the physical projects, Tom gave me the gift that fundamentally changed my life. He taught me how to build a home. On the surface, that meant showing me how to work a generator, how to tackle projects, how to mow the lawn, or how to build wild platforms on roofs. But the real lesson was how to build a home from the inside out. Through his relentless generosity, his quiet presence, and the way he lived, Tom showed me how to lead as a father. He volunteered to make a difference. He gave his kids chores not to fill their time, but to teach them how to be good human beings. He taught them that showing up matters, that family's a team, and then taking care of your home requires everyone pitching in. Today, when my kids are reluctantly picking up sticks in the yard, raking leaves, feeding the cat, taking the trash out, or helping around the house, they're learning the moral fabric that Tom handed down to them. They're learning selflessness, accountability, and the pride that comes with hard work. He didn't just teach me how to fix a house. He was integral in shaping the values I instill in my children every day. Tom built things that lasted, but his greatest build wasn't made of wood or wire. He built a family. He built friends. He built a community that surrounds us today. So as we wrap up our speeches, let's break bread together in the back. for food and drinks, and let's share stories. Let's talk about your favorite Tom memory, how you volunteered with him, how he helped you fix something, how you saw him bleeding one time randomly, or how he helped you build something inside of you to make the world a better place. Every single one of us is so proud to have known him, and even prouder to carry his legacy forward. So thank you very much for coming. Please join us for food and drinks. And afterwards, please feel free to check out Chester. It's a beautiful Hallmark movie town. Thank you very much.